Hi everybody, welcome back, and sorry for being MIA for a month. I have been entirely busy with school and D&D and going on dates. That one's not really an excuse, that one's just me having fun as an adult. My birthday is tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. I'm turning 19 years old, yay. And I have a lot of plans. So, right now, one of those plans is trying to finish Tessa's book. And thankfully this time I don't have a nosy boyfriend, breathing down my neck. I say that like I don't love him. I love him half to death. That boy. Okay, anyway. Okay. Chapter 7. Penny was leading Tessa down a long hall, explaining what the shelter did. Most of our animals are strays, lost or abandoned pets people find in the streets. Sometimes owners bring them in, too, if they're moving to a place that doesn't allow animals or they feel they can't care for them anymore. Here we give animals medical care, clean and feed them, and try to exercise them as much as possible. And of course, we try to find them homes. Tessa held in a gasp, wishing creatures could be lost or abandoned. Things like that never really happened on Starland. Now she understood what the shelter was. It was there to help any local animal in trouble. Penny stepped into a small room filled floor to ceiling with gray metal cabinets. We're changing over to a computerized system for our files, she told Tessa, but we're still holding on to our paper records, just in case there's a problem. Paper again? And there must be high drawings of sheets in those drawers. But why all the paper records? Hadn't she learned in Wishling history that records had something to do with music? Were those files filled with songs? Tessa shook her head to clear it. Music probably had nothing to do with her mission. She needed to focus on the here and now, so she just nodded knowingly. Anyway, I'm sure you want to see the animals, Penny said. After all, that's why you're here. Let's start with the dogs. She took Tessa through another door marked Doggy Daycare. Tessa stepped into a huge space and tried to take everything in. First there was the noise. Yips, yaps, and barks echoed loudly. Along one wall, little rooms stood side by side in a row. Each one had a gate in front, like a half door, and behind each gate a dog stood, jumped, paced, or slept. It was a little disturbing to see animals cooped up like that, but Tessa wasn't really shocked. She heard about zoos and aquariums, and she supposed this was for the animals' own good, too. It could be pandemonium to let all those animals roam loose. Besides, the spaces were good-sized, neat, and clean, and every dog had a little bed, a food dish, and a water bowl. Each dog has its own kennel, Penny said. The kennels have swinging doors that open to the outside with separate yards. A big sloppy-looking dog with floppy ears and curly hair rushed towards his door, barking loudly. Tessa bent over the gate to scratch him behind the ears. This is Tiny, Penny said with a laugh. We name all the dogs that come in, if they don't already have names. She sighed. Tiny has been with us for about a year now. The big dogs have a tough time finding homes. You mean they can go out and look for houses too? Tessa asked, confused. Penny laughed, as if she made a funny joke. That would be something. That would be something. Imagine if it was true. Instead of people coming here looking at animals and picking one to take home, the animals did the choosing, or bought their own houses. Penny explained further, and slowly Tessa was able to piece together more about the shelter. As for Tiny, his family had brought him in because he barked and jumped on people, and they'd given up on training him. They just didn't want him around. How horrible, said Tessa. She buried her face in Tiny's furry neck, trying to hide her tears. Okay, long chapter. Next, Penny showed her the outside kennel yards, where dogs chewed on bones or nosed balls. Some puppies were grouped together. They're the cutest things ever, Tessa thought. They had paws that looked too big for their bodies and large, soulful eyes. Penny pointed out the dog run, a giant fenced-in area where dogs raced around, playing while a volunteer sat at a nearby picnic table overseeing them. The dogs come out here at least twice a day, Penny went on. But we also walk them, so hopefully they do their business outside. She smiled at Tessa. That should make it easier to clean the kennels, but you'll find out about that later. Tessa frowned. What did do their business mean? All in all, Tessa didn't like the sound of it. What exactly would she be cleaning? Spilled food? Something else? But maybe she finished her mission before it came time for any tidying up. Discreetly, she checked her countdown clock. Already a few Wish World hours had passed, and her wisher still hadn't appeared. Tessa's wish pendant hadn't so much as blinked, let alone glowed brightly to signal her wisher was near. Now for the cats, said Penny, opening a door marked Cat Condos. Inside, large comfy cages housed the creatures, some singly, some in groups. A few cats were playing in the middle of the room in a large open area filled with toys. One volunteer sat on the floor, playing with a baby cat, a kitten, Tessa realized. The kitten had gray and black stripes, a tiny pink nose, and ears that stood straight up at attention. The volunteer motioned for Tessa to come closer, then scooped up the small creature for Tessa to hold. The kitten nestled against her chest and purred. Tessa's heart flipped. She wanted to take the creature home with her, that Starsec. Take the creature home with her, right, that Starsec. She imagined the kitten going to class with her, watching her bake, and then going to the farm on school breaks and playing with Jewel. Of course, it could never happen, but at that moment, Tessa wished for it. I like you, a soft voice murmured. Tessa turned to Penny and said, I like you too. Penny smiled at Okay. Penny smiled a little uncertainly, as if she didn't know why Tessa had blurted that out. That's good, she said, since we'll be working together. Reluctantly, Tessa put the kitten down so Penny could show her more, visiting rooms for prospective owners, examination rooms, grooming rooms, and a storage room filled with bags and bags of animal food. Last, Penny showed her the room that housed a few snakes, those slippery creatures without legs, and some hamsters. The animal Tessa had seen pictured on a wheel. One hamster's expression reminded Tessa of a gopher's, so she asked, How many songs does it know? Once again, Penny gave her a funny look. Then she said, I don't believe she knows any. There was also one adorable black creature with a white stripe down its back. Penny said most of the staff stayed away from him, and she added something about a bad odor, but Tessa wasn't really listening. She was still straining to hear the hamster, just in case she started to sing. Okay, that's the tour, Penny announced, taking Tessa back to the dog room. How long will you be staying today? Tessa almost said, until I meet my wisher and help grant her wish, but she stopped herself just in time. As long as you need me. Good. Mostly you'll shadow a staff member or volunteer to learn how things work around here. But right now, I think Tiny needs a walk. She pulled out a long strap from a peg. This is Tiny's leash. Just attach it to his collar. A leash? A collar? Starling creatures had neither of those. Tessa looked at Penny helplessly. I'll show you, Penny said, because it can be tricky getting it on and getting Tiny out safely. You don't want him taking off. Taking off? Like a shooting star? Now Tessa was really confused. She pictured wings unfolding from under Tiny's fur. You mean Tiny can fly? Penny laughed. He sure can. He runs so fast it is just like flying. But seriously, you need to be careful he doesn't run away. Penny demonstrated how to lean over and snap on the leash before she opened the gate. Tessa immediately reached down to pet Tiny. She looked into his big brown eyes and felt a spark of recognition. A connection that they'd known each other for star years. Hi, said a voice. Tessa looked around. It was a deep male voice, and only Penny was standing nearby. I don't care. I'm not doing a deep male voice. We're doing the hi thing. I said hello. Are you going to walk me? I love walks. I love to sniff the air. I love to chase squirrels. What? Was that Tiny talking? and what in the stars was a squirrel? Tiny tilted his head as if expecting answers, and it hit Tessa like a lightning bolt. She could understand his thoughts, the same way she had earlier with the kitten. She now realized Penny hadn't said she liked her. It had been the tiny, adorable creature, and it must have been Tessa's special talent, knowing animals' thoughts. She looked at the other dogs, but couldn't pick up any voices. Maybe she needed to feel a special closeness. Meanwhile, Penny was still talking, unaware of what just happened. So stay away from the busy sidewalks and the highway out back, but everywhere else is fine. Tessa didn't want to know what a highway was. She felt embarrassed enough, having blurted out that she liked Penny without the Wishlings saying she liked Tessa first. Anyway, a highway was probably a street of some sort, Tessa figured, but how high did it reach? She grew a little excited, imagining walking Tiny up among the stars, even though Penny had said to stay away from it. Now Penny was holding out the leash. As soon as Tessa took it, Tiny raced out of the kennel, then straight out a side door, taking Tessa with him. At least Tiny knows where he's going, Tessa thought as she tried to keep her balance. He was pulling her along, barking happily, and Tessa heard him thinking, "Good girl, you can do it, just keep running." He was encouraging her, almost as if she was his pet. Together, they ran through a small wooded area behind the shelter, then right by a busy road where cars zipped along as fast as comets. "Highway! Highway!" Tiny thought. "I love to chase cars!" Tessa struggled to keep him under control. "Slow down, Tiny," she shouted. Really, they should call the road a fast way, not a highway. She hoped Tiny wouldn't jump the guardrail on the side. "Stop!" Tessa pleaded, and luckily Tiny listened, settling down to stay by Tessa's heels. Together, they watched the cars for a bit. Really rather unpleasant, Tessa thought. All that noise and smoky exhaust. How did Wishlings stand it? Of course, there weren't any homes nearby, so maybe they didn't like it either. After a while, Tiny led her back through the woods and into the shelter. Inside, a staff member showed Tessa how to fill water bowls and food dishes and how to clean out the kennels while the dogs were outside. Cleaning wasn't as bad as Tessa had feared. She put on protective gloves and used something called a pooper scooper, but most everything had already been funneled down the sloping ground into a drain. All she really had to do was spray a soapy mixture all around the kennel and hose down the floor. "Nice work," said Penny, passing by. Tessa felt as pleased as if she had earned all eyes. Illumination. Anyway, that afternoon, Tessa helped a couple choose a puppy to take home and gave 2 dogs a bath. That wasn't fun at all. She had almost suggested the dogs take sparkle showers instead. They were so resistant to getting into the big tub. Luckily, she remembered Wishlings didn't even have sparkle showers. Meanwhile, a constant stream of visitors came into and went out of the shelter, but so far her wisher was nowhere to be seen. After the doggy baths, Penny asked Tessa to take some photos. Tessa held the camera gingerly as she walked through the cat's play area. How did it work exactly? Starline's Glamour was a small egg-shaped device you could hold in your palm, but this was a big, bulky object that you strapped around your neck like some kind of fashion accessory. "Play with me," the striped kitten squeaked to her, so Tessa convinced a volunteer to take photos of her and the kitten together. Later, Tessa organized the sales table in the lobby with Penny. She was thinking that things on Wishworld were similar to Starland, yet so different at the same time, when a big drop of water fell splat on her head. She moved a few star inches to her left, and more drops plopped around her. "What's that?" she asked, wondering if someone else had the idea of showering the animals, and this was some sort of test run. Penny sighed, reaching for buckets they kept under the front desk. "Remember it rained yesterday?" The star day had been glowiest on Starland, but Tessa nodded. Whenever it rains, our roofs start leaking sometime the next day. The roof is so old, it really needs to be replaced, or at least repaired, but we're low on funds as it is. We have just enough money to cover basic care for our animals, so that's on hold. She smiled at Tessa. Thank goodness we have volunteers to help. I can't tell you how grateful I am that you worked all day, but we're closing up shop now. Tessa could see the sunlight dimming outside. The whole Wish World day had passed, and she hadn't even caught a glimpse of her wisher. Is it okay if I come back tomorrow? She asked Penny. Of course, but we should really nail down your schedule for the rest of the summer. Penny took out the volunteer book and looked at Tessa expectantly. Oh no, not again! Tessa looked into Penny's eyes and said, You do not need my schedule. Penny closed the book. I do not need your schedule. She shook her head. And there's that raisin cinnamon smell again. I think I'll stop off at the bakery on my way home. Chapter 8. Okay, I will see you guys after this video posts.